the oneness that is our humanity that binds us together. There is nothing that we can do about the fact that we are humans together, but we can do a whole lot more about how we interact with each other, human to human. And so Sawubona is that spirit that binds us together, that forces us to say, I receive the whole of who you are. I embrace the whole of who you are. And I invite you to do the same. And I want to make sure that we are always thinking about that. That's the undercurrent for the conversations that we have. And these conversations are rooted and sourced in Blackness. We center Blackness in the context of the human story so that everyone will know where we're coming from as we are having these conversations. And so I'm glad that you are here. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm super excited. But first, let me give Toney an opportunity to greet you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for playing that Billie Holiday song, Strange Fruit. Every now and then, I think people have to be reminded of not only our history, our struggles in this country, of the things that have happened to keep us aware of some of the things that are still happening. And as Denise mentioned, this is our 41st year on the 30th of August. And I want to tell you why KABF is so important, why your support is so important, why your participation in to things with KABF is important. Because we are community radio, and we're not locked into any musical genre, we're not locked into the talk show genre, we are free and open to have discussions about everything. We are free and open to play any type of music. At any point in time, you can turn on KABF and you can hear something, or you can listen to a talk show, you can listen to some of the documentaries. It does not mean you like it. It does not mean you agree with everything. It does not mean that you may or may not have an opinion on things. The one thing it does mean, as a community, which is diverse, which we give power to the voice of the people, you have an opportunity to engage, and you have an opportunity not to engage. It's this dynamic that every week someone will send their opinion about the show, their complaint about the show, hey, this music doesn't sound right, whatever. Every week we get that. But we do not mind, because that's what we want. We want the community to open up their voices. And on the flip side, we get comments from people all over the world who said that, hey, I like this show, I like this music, I like that. And so that's why community radio is so important. That's why KABF is so important. And there is this push to silence the voice of stations like KABF, to silence your voice. But we have to push back, and one way you push back is that you contribute, you donate, you pledge, you get involved with what we do here at KABF. So I just want to thank everybody who has have participated so far in our pledge drive, and our anniversary drive, and those who will in the future contribute also.
I have a few announcements. I think I have quite a few announcements this morning. This first one I want to read is not an announcement. It is a post that I got off of Benjamin Crump's Facebook page. Benjamin Crump is that attorney who usually shows up when there's been some altercation between the law enforcement and the Black community that usually renders the Black person dead in the street. And Benjamin Crump is usually the one that's pioneering the cause for justice. And so he says this: powerful. The 110th Street train station in Harlem was recently renamed Malcolm X Plaza to honor the legacy of its namesake. Our history lives on when we protect it, uplift it, and pass it to the next generation. So I thought it was great for us to know that this train station in Harlem has been renamed Malcolm X. Now, in the renaming of the street station, the train station, yes, that is something that we should be excited about, but we should not feel like that's all that they should do That's all that we should receive when reparations are needed, right? This is not enough, but this is absolutely a good step. I also want you to know that the Rose Garden Unplugged is taking place on August 14th from 7 to 9 with Ricky Howard, Ricky D, and Charlie Phillips. That's going to happen at 3015 West Markham Street. The Rose Garden Unplugged, August 14th from 7 to 9. Also, want you to know that the Little Rock Freedom Fund. Join the Little Rock Freedom Fund as we commemorate Black August, a month dedicated to honoring Black revolutionaries, political prisoners, and freedom fighters who have sacrificed their lives in the struggle for Black liberation. Originating in California prisons in the 1970s to remember George and Jonathan Jackson, Black August serves as a powerful reminder of Black resistance and resilience. This month, we reflect on the ongoing fight against systemic oppression and renew our commitment to liberation and justice for Black communities everywhere. This is what George Jackson says. Settle your quarrels, come together, understand the reality of our situation, understand that fascism is already here, that people are already dying who could be saved, that generations more will live poor, butchered half lives if you fail to act. Do what must be done. Discover your humanity and love in revolution. And so because of that, Black August is asking you to do 4 things, to focus on 4 things, the Little Rock Freedom Fund, to honor Black August. Fast, fight, train, and study. Fast, fight, train. Oh, I can get a beat to that. Fast, fight, train. And hey, fast. Okay, so no eating or drinking from sun up to sundown. Get involved in the fight for Black liberation and uplift political prisoners. Participation in physical activities daily, like exercise and self-defense. Read daily. Listen to podcasts about political prisoners. Write and support a political prisoner. So these are the things that you can do to honor Black August this month. And that is brought to you by the Little Rock Freedom Fund. And what's happening tonight in conjunction with Black August? Yes, this is tonight. Tomorrow night. Wednesday, August 13th, Canvas and Chill Ward 3 with Little Rock Freedom Fund and the Whitewater Tavern. So you have to be 21 years old or older in order to attend. They're going to talk about creating community-led solutions. You can message your director, or we expect the director to be there. This is Ward 3 with Kathy Webb. Engage with communities, community canvassing, help build the people's budget for 2026. That event happens tomorrow. So if you are a member of Ward 3, that's like the Heights and a little part of the riverfront. If you are in that ward, then you are having a community meeting, but anybody can show up tomorrow night. And that, did I say what time? Tomorrow night, that is from 4:30 to 7:00 p.m. So those are all of the announcements that I have. Tony, do you have any announcements?
No.
It was important for me to use the song Strange Fruit this morning because of our conversation that I've been thinking about since since last Tuesday. I've really been thinking about it since last Tuesday. So I've been working on this show since then. But I want to share this. The reason that I paused after the singing of Strange Fruit is because Billie Holiday, as she began to get more and more comfortable including Strange Fruit into her repertoire of songs to sing when she was in concert, she decided to honor the song by turning down the lights in the room. It was usually the cafe in New York. They would turn down all the lights, and there would be a spotlight just on her face. That's the only light that you would see, was the spotlight on her face. And she would sing this song from the bottom of her soul. She sings this song in honor and in remembrance and in protest. This is a protest song to the lynchings that were happening during that time. And when the song was over and the lights came up, Billie Holiday would no longer be on the stage because she did not want anyone to clap after she finished singing the song, because she didn't want anybody to think that this is some kind of performance. You clap when you are excited, when you are entertained. She's like, no, 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 no. That's not what I'm doing, not with this song. With this song, we need to be quiet. We need to be in a position of a posture of reverence to the lives that were lost during this season of terror and the lives that continue to be lost through this systemic oppression that we face. And so I wanted to just honor that just by being quiet for a moment after the song was sung, so I didn't come in talking about some hey like I usually do. And so I wanted to do that in honor of Billie Holiday. And I was thinking also about how, for me, as I was listening to the song, I was like, you know what? This is when we should take our feet off. Take our feet off, take our shoes off. We talk about in the Bible, it talks about taking your shoes off because you're standing on holy ground. So that's what I was thinking about as I was singing this song. Wherever we are, we should take our shoes off because this is holy ground, listening to her sing this song. And so Billie Holiday is not the only one who sings this song. It was actually not even a song to begin with. It was a poem called Bitter Fruit by this Jewish American man, Abel Maripol. And he wrote it, and then he and his wife, they decided to set it to music, and they sang it a couple of times. But somebody heard, I can't remember who heard it, and he introduced it to Billie Holiday, and she is the one who put it on the map. And so just thinking about these stories around this song, I'm just fascinated. Like, there was one time when she was singing the song, and there was a little bit of blood dropping, running down her face. Now, people argue about this, right? Like, maybe it didn't happen, but I love the story. So she was in the back of the room. She was back there getting ready. She was using a curling iron, and she burnt her hair. She burnt her hair off in a particular spot on her head. And so it was time for her to go on. So they're frantic, they're panicked, trying to figure out what to do. And so somebody grabs a gardenia and says, here, and she puts it in her head. But in her haste, she pricks herself with the pin that they're using to hold the flower in her hair. And that causes a little bit of blood to just run down her face. And so imagine her singing this song about this strange fruit, referring to the bodies, the Black bodies of men and women and boys and girls that are hanging in the stench of their flesh like it's burning. Like, imagine her singing that in this spotlight, and you can see that little blood running down her face. Man, I would love to have experienced that. And again, I would say, let us take off our shoes, because this is absolutely sacred and holy ground. But I chose this song because it was something that Toney said we were talking about last Tuesday. I mentioned to you all that I was talking to Ezekiel offline, and then Ezekiel posed a question to me that I felt really was should be posed to Toney. So when we were on the air, I posed it to Toney, and it was about whether or not Black people and white people, if they're poor, if they are living the same experience. And so Toney on the air said yes, and anybody who's poor, they're living the same experience. And so I've been thinking about that since that conversation on last Tuesday. And it's one of the members of the community sent me a video to watch about James Cone. James Cone talking about his book, The Cross and the Lynching Tree. And as he's talking about this, James Cone is from Arkansas. So he talks about this era of lynching through which he lived. Well, did he live it? He was talking about how, with his parents. He's talking about how in Arkansas, there was no Black person in the whole, if you were Black, there was nobody Black who could escape the fact that you could be lynched at any moment. There was nobody in the Black community who could escape. It did not matter where you lived. It did not matter your job. It did not matter nothing mattered except your Blackness. If you were Black, you were susceptible to being lynched at any moment. And when he said that, I thought to myself, Well, that's how I feel about white folks. No matter who you are, no matter what your socioeconomic status, not even, it doesn't even matter your sexual orientation or your gender identity. When it comes down to the color of your skin, no white person can erase the privilege that you get because of the color of your skin. So if I'm looking at these Black people who are poor and saying you cannot escape the fact that you could be lynched in any moment, and I'm looking at the white people who are poor and you're going to be privileged because of the color of your skin no matter what, that can't possibly be the same existence. It cannot possibly be, because I can't even imagine what it's like to walk out of the door and see a body hanging, to see a body that has been burnt, to see a body that has been castrated, to see a body that's been cut up into pieces and spread around as souvenirs, to see a postcard, a body on a postcard that you send out to your friends, your children, you have allowed to come out of school like this is some kind of special event. Well, it was for them to watch this lynching happen. These children that were watching these lynchings, these are the children we are dealing with, the grown-ups that we are dealing with today. So I'm just like, it can't be. It just cannot be that Black people and white people are living the same existence. I don't care what label you put on it. And so I want to talk about that a little more as we go through. But first, let me get this EJI tidbit in. So I wanted to root the conversation in Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday. And then also the EJI tidbit that comes from August the 10th. Where is it? I'm gonna have to pull it up. Toney, so you have something to say while I pull this up?
Yeah, what I was trying to say, and I'll say it again, what you're talking about when we talk about experiences, poor is poor. Poor is poor. Wealthy is wealthy. The difference, and I will admit, the difference is lynching, burning, hanging, killing, maiming, raping, destroying Black people. It wasn't about whether they were poor or not. It was all about they were Black. That's what even if you were the most successful Black person, in a town in the South, it did not matter because you were Black. What I always equate when I talk about poor, it's this idea that just because you're white, that you have some type of extra privilege. But in reality, that's the lie that's being told to you, because you're not going to get anything more than what you already have. You are poor. And to give you an example, when you look at what's happening now, when you talk about the song Strange Fruit, it's people now, the fruit has gotten stranger on the tree. We know that Black people, what Billie Holiday is singing, is about Black people being lynched, burnt, maimed on the tree, where they hung them on the tree. Well, now you can look and you can see white people, Hispanic people, LGBTQ people who are hanging on that same tree, being treated the same way. We found out this week that people who have EBT cards, their money is, their benefits are being stolen. Being stolen. Before they can even go to wherever and use the card, someone has hacked and stolen his money. The state of Arkansas has refused to reimburse. 75% of the people who are complaining, 75% of the people who are going down to these DHS offices, the people who are calling the Congress, all these people, 75% of them are white. And they realize you're not getting anything. We're not going to give you anything. We're not going to reimburse you. We don't know what to tell you, but you're not going to get these benefits. And so now when you look at it in that context, and don't get me wrong, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the atrocities that were inflicted on Black people, in no way supersedes something that white people have to go through. I'm not saying that, because there's nothing worse than what Black people went through. It's nothing worse than what Black people are still going through. But the one thing that I'm saying is that now, when you even back then, it was because of Black. And because you were fooled, white people were fooled into thinking they were something that they really weren't. Now it's coming back. So now they are seeing, you know what? I really don't have anything. I can blame it. I can point to Black people, but it's not really Black people who are doing these things to me. It's my own people who are treating me this way.
I don't think very many white people see it that way at all. And I think that what you're building your argument on is classism. And there's a distinct difference between classism and racism. And if you want to say, well, yes, poor people need to realize that they are poor, and so they need to fight for their socioeconomic status. Yes, that's an argument you can make. But if you put classism beside racism is going to trump classism every time. And that's what we continue to see, that white people will not vote in their own best interest because racism trumps classism. I don't care about being poor. I care more about being white. And that is the part of the conversation that we cannot ignore. Even if they are experiencing some kind of economic difficulty, even if they are experiencing some kind of housing difficulty, it don't matter to many of them as long as they can say that I am white. And so racism is the trump card all the time. And so here's the EJI tidbit for today. On August 10th, 1898, a white mob seized 4 Black people from a jail in Clarendon, Arkansas, and lynched them before they could stand trial. On August 10th, 1898, a white mob seized 4 Black people from a jail in Clarendon, Arkansas, and lynched them before they could stand trial. I wanted to use this EJI tidbit because, again, I was thinking about James Cone, who is from Arkansas, and this tidbit, this lynching of these 4 Black people happened in Arkansas. Sometimes I think we have this idea that what is happening in the world is happening somewhere else. It's interesting to me when I listen to crime shows, reality meaning I can look up these people because they have real lives. This is not some Hollywood movie that I'm watching. And so it's amazing because sometimes at the very beginning, when somebody is murdered, the narrator would say, well, this just doesn't happen in this neighborhood. And I'm like, well, if it didn't happen in this neighborhood, like, why are we even having it? Obviously, it happens in your neighborhood, or else you wouldn't even be on this show. And so this idea that somebody can escape what is happening in the world, this idea that it's going to happen to somebody else, this idea that you are somehow protected from all of what's going on flies in the face of what we say about the spirit of Sawubona. Whatever I am experiencing, you are experiencing too, because it happens to us in the realm of humanity. And if you try to divorce yourself from that, you're doing yourself a disservice, and the rest of us too. Caller, you're live on the air, KABF. Thanks for calling Community Voices.
Good morning, Sister Denise.
Good morning.
Brother Tony, those on the web and those listening. I just wanted to add a little something, and then I'm going to get off the air. Billie Holiday endured an awful lot of suppression, if you will, from singing this song. She was criminalized, or whatever you want to call it, by the highest authority. Cabaret license was, in jeopardy or whatever, because of so-called drug abuse or whatever. She was not held up to be the standard by which you would say the highest pop star is today. Although she had the voice and the songs and everything, she wasn't like, say for instance, Judy Garland, who had the same type of problems. She was a star and was treated as a star, no more than any other entertainer. She had the same type of problems that are sort of like Billie Holiday, but she was a film star, stage star, and every kind of star, while Billie Holiday had to endure, if you will, suppression. Fast forward, you see it's always happened here. Fast forward on up until before her it was Jack Johnson that got, as an entertainer, that got suppressed because of his skin color. Then they used all these different types of laws made for Jack Johnson, the so-called man, for Chuck Berry, who was, and if you get a chance, Google him. He was like a rock and roller. He brought the whites and blacks together to enjoy his performances, if you will. But he never got a chance to live out the dream of a superstar because he was incarcerated, just like R. Kelly was incarcerated and P. Diddy was incarcerated. They sort of slapped the wrist, if you will, of white entertainers. You never heard of them going through what the black entertainers had to go through to just even get back on the stage. Some of them go away the key like they've gone so far with R. Kelly and P. Diddy denied him bail. that dude was just bail denied was for, someone that was for treason or murder in first degree, but they denied him bail. And, I guess it's common now to do that when you got a lot of money. But that's something that they've always used, black entertainers, whether they were boxers or poets and went from one country to another. And I just want to make that known that when you speak out against this system, that there's someone waiting for you. And it doesn't matter if you're black, you're not going to get away with it. If you're white, they might slap the wrist. We've got a president now who said he'll grab him by the P word, private part, and everybody supposedly is Christian and are right, but they overlook any and everything that's done by him. He said that he's going to take over Washington, D.C. because of the crime, but when they were storming the White House and he was president, he didn't even get the finger. He just said, well, don't look like they're mad at me. That's what he told one of his members of Congress who said they're riding, they're after us. He told the man, said, well, no, they're not mad at me. So I just want to make that known, and I'm going to let somebody else get on it. And hopefully they'll understand where you're coming from and where people like me are coming from when we say that it's not the same. Integration of high school, if you were poor white, you still went to a white high school. It's not the same, and it never can be. And I hope the reparations is something that is going to be forthcoming. And I certainly would hope that everybody start talking about it in a way that is meaningful. And we've got to get more young people involved with knowing just what their past is. And you're doing a good job with that. Thank you for the time, and y'all keep up the good work.
Well, yeah. Okay, Ezekiel, let's talk some more about Billie Holiday. That's one of the reasons why it took her a minute to include this song, Strange Fruit, in her repertoire, because she knew that there would be backlash. And so she took a moment to ask herself, to sit with herself, to think about things and say, is this something that I'm willing to do? Am I willing to put my life on the line to sing this song, to stand up in front of who knows who is going to be in the audience, who knows who is going to be waiting for me outside, who knows who is going to be waiting for me at my home. All I know is I've got to make a decision about how I'm going to stand firm in my Blackness and honor the people that came before me. What am I going to do? And so she finally decided that, yes, it is worth it. Yes, I am going to I'm going to sing this song, and I'm going to sing it, and I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can possibly do to help people understand how meaningful and how significant and how profound and how poignant this song is. And that's why she dimmed the lights and she wouldn't let people applaud. Now, Billie Holiday wasn't any different than many of us today who may have an illegal substance in our homes that we smoke or whatever. And so she was, every time she got arrested that I read about, she would get arrested for having drugs in her home. And I could not help but think, how you know what she's doing in her home? The only way you can know that is for you to be surveilling her, for you to be planting moles in her space. That's the only way that you can know. And so she was constantly being surveilled. She was constantly becoming a target because of this protest song. And yet she continued to sing it. She continued to put her body on the line every single time. She was making upwards of $200,000 because of her gifts and her talents and her graces, because of the excellence in her Blackness, and they could not stand it. Anytime you stand up for what is right, and then you can influence other people too. Oh yeah, you got a target on your back and they coming for you. Even as she was dying, there were guards in her hospital room while they have her handcuffed to the bed. No respect. No respect for her body, no respect for her life, no respect for her dignity, none of that. At one point, she had only $11 in her bank account. So this is Billie Holiday still being willing, losing all of this. She lost, like Ezekiel said, she lost her cabaret card. She lost the ability to sing in the cabarets because once she got arrested for the narcotics, then they were like, oh, well, now you can't sing anywhere there's alcohol. All of this was by design. All of it was by design. And still, she did not stop singing that song. So Billie Holiday is a great example of us saying, listen, whatever my gift is, whatever it is that I have in my hand that I can offer to the struggle to put my body on the line, I need to be willing to do it because so many people have gone before us to show us the way. It's nothing that we can't do because we've already done it. It's no reason to be afraid because once you let go of that fear, then you'll be free mentally. Absolutely. And then you'll be more prone to work for your physical freedom. So absolutely, I appreciate the opportunity to talk more about Billie Holiday.
Yeah, and you know, when you think about it, one of the things that you had mentioned, Denise, about classism and racism. If you, for those of you who've ever played spades, we know the spades are the most powerful book. That's the most powerful set of, the most powerful set within the game. The two through the ace, you know, and some people play jokers. Whether you play with that ace of spades or whether you play with the big joker, we understand the big joker is the most powerful card to play. Or if you don't play with the jokers, the ace is the most powerful card to play. It does not take away the fact that the other cards in the spade suit are powerful too. But the most powerful one is that ace or the big joker. And so you are right, Denise. Anytime Black people or anybody else within the other suits start to exert power, start to exert control, start to exert autonomy, or start to win, as they say, you know, you can play any one of those powerful cards, one of those spades. And for just for this conversation, the whole spade book you can claim is capitalism, patriarchy, what else? Socioeconomics. You can name them all because all of them are powerful in the human existence. But every time when you want the game to change or you want to exert your power in the game, you play that big joker or that ace. You play your biggest trump card. In this society, the biggest trump card is racism. Because once it's played, it's almost like everything shifts to focus on that. A prime example is what's going on with the president talking about. He calling out the FBI to put on the streets of DC to clean it up. There's no rise in crime in DC, but DC is predominantly black. New York, Chicago, LA, these are predominantly black cities. So what do? You play that trump card, you play that race card, bam. And everybody, white people will start focusing on the racism. And they forget about the classism. They forget about the class. And I think that's what happens just what this country does. Racism will trump everything to where you will start looking or you will start to feel. There are Hispanics who are being deported, who are American citizens, who are looking up like, I never thought this would happen to me. Why not? Why didn't you think this would happen? Because now the race card has been played. And I applaud Billie Holiday for standing up to say, you're playing this trump card. You played this trump card on me to get rid of me, to stop me, to silence me. You played this trump card, but I don't care because you can't. I'm still going to stay in this game and I'm still going to sing. I'm still going to voice. And that's what we have to do. We have to realize, so what, you play this card, but that does not mean you're going to win the game.
I think so. If we're going to go with this analogy that you have about playing the card, and they play the trump card as racism, the trump card that's also played, and I think that it's fitting for this conversation, is the card of distraction. Because I believe that this stuff that came up with DC is because of the Epstein files. Like, so now we don't want you to talk about this over here. We want you to focus on the black folks over here. And so we have to pay attention. Is what we really have to do. We have to pay attention and stop running after stuff just because, like a squirrel, because that's what they want you to do. Just run out of these clickbait kind of things. But we also talked about on Thursday, one of the things that you talked about, Toney, you were talking about the need for union workers to organize and to mobilize. I can't really remember the full conversation, but I remember saying something like, if you're trying to organize now, you're behind the 8 ball. I said something like that because these people have already, the train has left the station. So I said something like that. And so I've been thinking about that too. Since Thursday, I've been thinking about that. And I thought about the notion that all of this organizing that we call ourselves wanting to do. You see people that were doing the No Kings protest as you are driving down. Let me see, if I was driving, that would be west on 630. You could see the overpass that had all of the banners that were saying No Kings and whatever else it was saying. You had people up there actually in protest, actually organized to do those things. We're talking about mobilizing people. We're talking about 2028. We're talking about how we got to vote, how we got to get the Democrats ready because we still fighting over craziness. We're talking about all of these things, how to prepare ourselves. And all of that is good. I'm really not speaking against that. I'm really not making a judgment about any of that. What I'm saying is this. It really isn't necessary because we have a president who has shown us that if this world wanted to change the systems that are in place, then all you got to do is get in power and do it. There's nothing stopping this administration from coming up with what I'm going to call Operation Be Great. Operation Be Great says we're going to overturn all of these systems that have kept people of color down, especially Black people. We're going to focus on every one of the areas that affect them the most. We're going to focus on housing. We're going to focus on education. We're going to focus on employment. We're going to focus on food security. We're going to focus on transportation. We are going to focus on reparations. He could do that right now, just like he got rid of the Department of Education, just like he got rid of the FCC. All he has to do is the flick of the pen in, and then don't tell me that it costs money, because that's going to be the argument, right? Well, it costs money for all those social programs. Well, if you can find $200 million to build some kind of hallway or whatever you're trying to build, ballroom, then you can't tell me you can't find the money to fund these programs. And so it really isn't, to me, I know for a fact it's not the work of Black folks to eliminate and eradicate racism. It's not our work. Now, we have a role that we can play, but it ain't our work. It's white people work. It's y'all work to do. And so to me, for us to keep trying to figure out, like, how are we going to figure out this wet race, I believe that we have to ask the question of, why are you not willing to get rid of this system? And we already know the answer, because I need to be on top. And the only way that I can be on top is to have somebody on the bottom. How can there be a top without a bottom? And so in order for me to maintain who I think I am as a member of whiteness, the system of whiteness, because who you think you are is not who you really are. You think you are superior. You think you are great. You think you are divine. And all of those are lies. So who you think you are, because it's so fragile, anything that happens that makes you feel that fragility is being attacked, you lose your mind. That's how we got January 6th. That's how we got Charlottesville. That's how we got the government, the thing happening in DC. That's because you're so fragile, because you're built your whole essence on a house of cards that are coming down, that are folding, because the people that you thought were on the bottom, you just thought that. That's not who we are. You just thought that. And because we are rising up in ways that you did not expect, now you don't know what to do. And so we've got to realize that that's really what's happening, is that the system of whiteness, the system of white humanity, has to make somebody justify who they are. So if I can dehumanize Black people, if I can depersonalize Black folks, if I can demonize Black folks and make you think there's a reason for you to act like this, then you will receive all the propaganda, because you will believe it's necessary to protect yourself from us. But that's just the lie that's created so that they can feed you justification for evil. And we've got to have those conversations rather than talking about mobilizing and organizing. We need to talk about your unwillingness to let go of the myth.
And that's where all these isms at some point in time intersect. They all come together. And when they come together, you have to be able to look and pull it apart. Because if you don't pull it apart, you miss how it's all fitting together. So we know what capitalism is. We know what socioeconomics is. We know what all that is. But when they start to come together, where it starts to give an advantage, or it starts to level the playing field in some way, it does not matter what way, in any way, any minute, small nuance, the playing field looks like it's going to be level. The power to be, the powers to be, and in this country is white corporations. When their power, when they want to solidify more of their power to tell you this lie, as Denise said, that you know what, you as a people are subject to now losing your privilege, losing your right. You get ready to lose. And so that's when they say, you know what, we have to do something that will come in to distract from what we're doing at the top, the power, the changes, everything we're trying to do that we want to do to stay in power. Now we have to bring in something that can mobilize this one group of people. And it's always, bam, we're going to play the race card. Because as long as we play the race card, then that brings in this other group, this white group, who will be distracted, as you said, Denise, from what's really going on. And so That's a difficult conversation for some people to have, because you have to recognize that you are part of that complicity in this. And until you recognize that, you know what? The changes they making at the top, and going back to what I said earlier, is people who thought, oh, it does not matter if my Medicaid, if they take Medicaid away from everybody else or them. It does not matter if they take food stamps away from them. It does not matter if they take away educational benefits for them. I'm still gonna be okay because they're gonna look out for me. Until they realize, well, what you mean? That wasn't for me. And so those are the conversations, as you said, Denise, that happen.
Caller, you're live on the air at Community Voices. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. You know, we say, we had this thing, we said, I remember, remember. Now, our people don't realize how much energy and time and money have been put into keeping you from knowing who you really is, your real identity. Because when you learn your real identity, then you connect with your true soul, your true self that connects you to the universe. So it's been a lot of effort that y'all down the education, they know there's people been knowing all this stuff about our people. You know, about who we were and all these different things. All that, they know that. But that's to keep that away from you and tell you that you are this, that, the other, and all of this. Now, I respect my brothers and sisters in the churches. Some of you all know the truth about what's going on, and you'd rather stick to the regular tradition of teaching. And some of you all don't know, but you sticking with the lies too. But all you all are guilty. We talk about educating our black children, but we got churches. All the churches in Little Rock can't be a one school for your children to go to get the proper education. Why are you asking a white man to do something that you could do? You know, we got to get on the ball and get the moving and realize what it's time for you to step in your position to rule again, but you can't do it waiting on nobody to come do it. That's just the way it is.
Oh, I didn't know he was hanging up. Thank you, caller. I appreciate that. He reminded me of another video that was sent to me by one of the members of the community, and it's Dr. King's Blueprint for Life. And the very first point that he makes in that speech is that you've got to know yourself. And he reminded me of this story in the Bible. I've been accused as a person who does not appreciate the Bible, who disrespects the Bible, a person who needs to go to hell for what I say about the Bible. I've been accused of that. I remember one of my colleagues in the United Methodist Church was trying to get me to lose my ordination, my credentials, because of the things that I would say. But there are some principles in the Bible that I absolutely not only respect, but I also use them in my life. There are some stories that I lift up because I find them to be helpful. And one of the stories that I find to be helpful in the Bible, we don't talk about it much, it's in the book, The Song of Solomon. Most preachers don't preach from it because if you really drill it down, you've got a woman who is entertaining a love life with more than one man to whom she's not married. So we don't want to talk about premarital sex. We don't want to talk about polyamory. We don't want to talk about all of those things that are happening all around us. We want to act like people are virgins. And so we don't usually talk about that. We don't usually use that book. But in that book, one of the men that's in love with this woman, he starts basically at the top of her head and he goes all the way down to what I'm going to say the soles of her feet to just praise and basically worship what she looks like. And she ain't no size 2. She's thicker than a Snicker. And so he's talking about her eyes, he's talking about her breasts, he's talking about just every part of her. He is just taking a moment to taste and see with his words that he's using in this text. And that's basically what Dr. King was doing. He was like, the hair that's on my head, no matter how kinky it is, this is good hair. I don't have to straighten my hair. The nose that I have, the hip, whatever it is, look, take a moment. All of us could benefit, especially Black folks. Just take a moment and stand with yourself in the mirror. If you can, because some of y'all, that's your first step to learn how to look at yourself in the mirror. Take a moment and just praise yourself. Look at your shiny head, girl. That's what I have to tell myself because I'm bald. Girl, look at them. Girl, you see them deep eyes. Girl, look at that nose. Just talk about that. You got to know who you are. And that comes from loving yourself inside and out. And we don't love ourselves either way most of the time because we are complicit in internalized racism. We are experiencing internalized racism, and some of us know it, some of us don't. And then some of us don't realize that we are also complicit in these European standards of beauty that won't allow us to say, no, I am great and divine and good just as I am, even on the outside. And so that is a great thing for us to do as we take steps towards the work that needs to be done, that's got to be done by our hands. Because I absolutely agree with the caller. I cannot understand why we expect public school, that the system of public school, to teach our children. Like, they've never wanted, the system of whiteness has never wanted us to be educated in the ways that we need to be. So why are we expecting it to happen now? So it's past time for us to affect change. And Billie Holiday said, listen, whatever gift you have, use it for the struggle. It's absolutely worth it. Even if you have to give up something, even if you have to suffer some consequences, it's worth it in the end. You all have been listening to Community Voices. We've been live right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. I want to continuously remind us that if we want to live in a world that is more just, that is more welcoming, that is more inclusive, that is more equitable, that is more peaceful, we are going to have to learn how to live and love differently. Your girl Lola is up next with Jazzy Tuesday. You don't want to touch that dial. I'm going to get her started with this song by Natalie Cole. It's called Tell Me All About It. And we'll see you soon. Bye now. What's not good in here, Tony?